When you talk about problems with the Biden-Harris administration, you're not talking about things coming from a would-be opponent. No. You're getting from people on their own side. The Washington Post writes this today, and here's an excerpt. Executive ripples through the Democratic Party. One Democratic lawmaker, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive matter, raised this prospect that Biden could secure the nomination, then have to drop out for health reasons. The worst-case scenario is we get past the nominating process with President Biden as the nominee, and then he's no longer able to continue. The lawmaker said that's the nightmare scenario for Democrats. Peggy Noonan went even further, who's an anti-Trumper and obviously a conservative. She says that he should not run. Second terms are usually a disaster. You can't look at what you look at now and not feel some apprehension. So she says that he is not up to it.
It's truly unbelievable the amount of Democrats that are now weighing in.
Because this is the moment.
This is the exact moment. The New York Times spoke to 24 Democratic strategists, one being James Carville. He said the voters don't want this, and that's poll after poll. You can look, and when it comes to the enthusiasm, he goes on to say, you can't look at what you look at now and feel some sort of apprehension. And he's referring to that new CNN poll that says 67% of Democrats don't even want Joe Biden to run. But the most concerning part of that New York Times thing is when you get to Lieutenant Governor of PA, a rising star in the Democratic Party, Austin Davidson, said that if they want the black vote, they're going to have to run more than what they did on 2020 when it came down to Trump and just the extreme right wing. The voters want something that you're going to have to deliver on. So you're getting it from the base of the Democratic Party, the strategists of the Democratic Party. I think a lot of folks are just saying it's just a matter of time before this all crumbles.
NBC even said that Joe Biden is saying out loud he doesn't think he can live through his son's ordeal. He said they're reporting the president has even lamented out loud that he might be dead before his son's case is resolved. Look at the polls. CBS polls, 72% think that Biden is not physically healthy enough to be president. Only 34% think he could finish a second term before resigning or dying. And the August survey for the AP says 77% of Americans, including 69% of Democrats, think that Biden's too old to be effective for the next 4 years.
And age is one thing you cannot do anything about it. I mean, you can impact foreign policy, you can impact the economy, but you cannot turn back the clock. So with this Washington Post article where they talked to 30 different top Democrats about the waves of anxiety, apparently they were settled down by Jim Messina, who is the fellow who ran Barack Obama's 2012 campaign. Right. He put together a 24-slide deck to try to calm the jitters. And he said, Washington whispers have become too common among bedwetting Democrats. He said, America is split right down the middle right now. Both parties are going to get 46%, and we're fighting over the rest. He did go on to say that right now, extraordinarily, he said Donald Trump is not in as strong a situation as Joe Biden is. And he encouraged...
Where does he get that information?
Yeah, this is from Jim Messina. He said that Biden is in a stronger position than Trump, and he encouraged Democrats to stop agonizing. So they emailed out this 24-card deck to all these Democrats.
What does that mean? Just a 25 reasons of why we think he's great?
Yeah, right. It's a bunch of slides. Okay. And so one U.S. senator, after he saw the deck, wrote back to Messina and said, okay, I'm going to stop bedwetting right now. He's been calmed down. So good news, one Democratic U.S. senator, not bedwetting.
So the problem,
Joe Biden.
The problem is with Joe Biden and not Barack Obama. People say Obama's numbers were low in re-election. Bush's numbers were low. The problem is no one was talking about their age. No. They were talking about their performance. You can't get younger. And the thing is, people are watching him degrade before their eyes. And this isn't like, well, don't worry about Democrats or Republicans. This guy tends to be a little bit radical. This person tends to be a little bit boring. This is so different than that. He's not up for the job. The Harvard poll came out and shows Haley Scott and Donald Trump beat him head-to-head. Donald Trump is beating him head-to-head in just about every single poll. We know it's going to matter state to state, but Trump is making up ground in Michigan. He's making up ground in Pennsylvania. He's making up ground in Georgia. And if he does get the nomination, a lot of people will coalesce around him. That's with a divided field with 7 others. But I also think that Governor Haley has reason to be encouraged because more and more polls show she does really well head-to-head with Democrats.
She did great in the debate. And then we have that debate next week,
right.
and that will be interesting because we saw that before in the last election,
right.
how you would love one candidate in the first debate, and then in the second one, they would fail miserably.
And it's a smaller stage, so we're going to get more time with each individual.
I'm not sure yet. Well, who hasn't qualified? Asa Hutchinson has not.
His Burgum
has not, right?
Right, but the big dog.
So now we're down to 6.
Donald Trump is not going to come. He's not coming.
He's not going to sign the pledge saying I'll support whoever gets the
And if he doesn't show up, once again, just like last time, it's like people are watching the TV show for 2 hours, and it's like, okay, of these 5 people or however many people, who's my favorite? And then coming out of that, people will have a favorite. Don't be surprised if one of the candidates moves again, just like Nikki Haley did after the last one.
And what about the advantage that Republicans have? Because I think Republicans, if you talk to people, they say, we know Donald Trump is winning in the party so far, but at least we have great alternatives on stage.
Right.
The Democrats don't have that.
Right, because they haven't even had a chance to audition because unless Joe Biden decides to not run, he's running.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.